Alright. Hey everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. Doing my art stream a day late this week. I have some orders to finish up, so that's what I'm going to be working on today. I know I said I was going to start doing my stream on a much more regular schedule, and then I haven't been keeping to that. I haven't really been feeling great. I think the stress of house hunting is getting to me. If anybody else is trying to move right now, I'm sure you understand what that's like. But, you know, we'll go out and we'll see a house and it ends up selling before we can decide if it'll work for us or not. And unfortunately, because we're not, you know, I live with my mom because I'm disabled and she's not in great health either. Like, we're not young, healthy people. We can't just see a house and go, that's a nice house, and buy it sight unseen like a lot of people seem to be doing right now. And unfortunately, that means a lot of houses are selling out from under us either before we can see them or before we can make up our minds how much we want to offer for them. Because none of the houses we've seen so many houses, and none of them would work as is. So, you know, we have to try and figure out how much it's going to cost us to make the house workable. And then kind of try and take that out of asking price and figure out if we can even make an offer that's going to be has a reasonable chance of being accepted. And so far it hasn't happened. These houses keep selling out from under us for asking price, and we can't afford to pay asking price if we're going to have to do major renovations to the house before we can live in it. And you know, I almost feel like maybe it would be better if we could wait until the market were a little different and, you know, take some time and be able to make offers on things and not have to pay asking price. But if we do that, our chances of selling our current house as is would be a lot less, and we're really, really hoping to sell the current house as is. Because there's nothing wrong with our house, it just needs cosmetic updates. But with the market being what it is, houses with cosmetic issues are selling for above asking price. So if we move now, we'll get a lot more for our house than if we wait. So every house we see, we have to go into it with the mindset of not, can I live in this house today, but can I live in this house 10 years from now? And it's kind of hard to be able to gauge for sure, you know, what that's going to look like today, because we both have chronic health issues. So, you know, it's hard to really say for sure where we're going to be in 10 years. She has degenerative spine issues. I have my EDS with, you know, all the joint problems that accompany that. You know, who knows if a house we look at today and it's super easy to go into the house and walk around into every room and not have a problem, who knows if that's going to be the case 10 years from now. So part of our issue is that we need more space than what we currently have in our house, but we still need it essentially to be a ranch. So finding a large ranch is not really... it's not as easy as you might think. our budget isn't, it's not tiny, but it's not sizable. Unfortunately, since we have to buy a house before we move out of our current house, we can't put a cash offer in, which, might make people more willing to accept a lower offer. Oh, hey Julie. I'm just venting about house hunting. It's stressing me out. It's got my health issues flaring up. That's why I didn't get my streams done last week and why I'm a day late again today. I just haven't been feeling great. I'm tired. My body hurts. I've been doing a lot more walking up and down stairs looking at houses than I normally do because, I normally am just in a ranch house. My house has no stairs, and every house we've looked at has been either a split level with a basement or a multi-level house. Because finding ranch houses in our budget is just turning out not to be a thing, unfortunately. At least not in the areas we want to live in. I mean, if we wanted to move, into Cleveland, there's a lot more options. Or if we wanted to move, out in the boonies, there's options. But to stay out near the bougie suburb that I live in now, the houses tend to be multi-level because you can make them smaller that way and have a nice big yard. So, I don't know. I'm hoping we're going to see 3 more tomorrow. And they're all in Parma, which for anybody in Ohio, you kind of know why that's not necessarily the most desirable area. It's not bad. It's not it's not crime-ridden or anything. It's not the ghetto. It's just, I mean, it's a meh suburb. It's a very meh suburb. And I'm in kind of a bougie suburb now. We've been spoiled. We've lived in this bougie suburb for, I think about 25 years at this point. So we don't really want to leave this area. But to get a bigger house in this area, we need more money than we have. So we're probably going to have to move into the meh suburb. Because all 3 that we're looking at tomorrow are all in Parma. So we might just have to accept that that's the case. But to be honest, if we find the perfect house, it'll be worth living in an area that wasn't, our first choice to live in. So we're seeing 3 tomorrow and hoping for the best that none of our showings get canceled, because we've had several viewings canceled the day of. And it's very frustrating. That's been a big part of the stress, is just that we'll find a house that we really, really like, but we need to put an offer in that's below asking because it has, issues that we need to correct in order for a couple of crippled old ladies to move in. And right now everything on the market is selling at or above asking within days of being listed. So it's kind of a weird time to be looking for a house. But like I was saying, it's the best time for us to sell our house. Because the market being the way it is, our current house has some things that need purely cosmetic updates. The house is functional. This house had a lot of issues because the owners before us, the father was one of those DIY types who didn't really know what he was doing and did a lot of things very wrong. And in the 25 years we've lived here, we've corrected everything that was done wrong. So we've made this from a house with a lot of issues into a wonderful house to live in, which just needs a couple of rooms repainted and a couple of carpets replaced. But with the market being what it is, if we can move quickly, we can sell this current house as is and get more money for it. So we're really hopeful that the showings tomorrow are gonna work, because we've been to so many that have just been disappointments. And we went to one recently that we actually really liked, and we're planning on making a slightly lowball offer, since we would need to um, finishing. It had like a partially finished basement, and we wanted to fully finish the rest of the basement so we could turn it into a 4th bedroom. Actually, I think that would have been a 5th bedroom in the basement. Yeah. So it already had 4, and we wanted to finish the extra basement area into a 5th one. So we were going to make an offer that was slightly below asking. And then I think we went to see that one on Sunday, and as of yesterday, it's pending now. So, like, we didn't even get a chance to put our offer in, and it's already off the market. So that's just how everything's been going lately, and it's really disheartening, but we're trying not to lose hope. So some of the ones we're looking at tomorrow just have absolutely like beautiful interiors, and we're hoping that the pictures are not misleading in that, and that when we go and see them, they'll actually be as nice in person, because we really want one of them to work out. Oh my gosh, I haven't used this paint in a really long time. It just came out like that. So yeah, and we also, the other thing that's been not great about all the house hunting is because everything we're looking at has a bunch of stairs. My joints have been really bad, and I ended up taking my muscle relaxers that I don't take them regularly. I just take them like, I don't know, usually maybe once a week at the most. And I took them 2 nights in a row, and then forgot to set an alarm to wake myself up. And I'm really sensitive to medication, so even though I take a really low dose of these muscle relaxers, I slept like a couple extra hours. I slept enough that you know how sometimes you sleep too much and then you wake up and you're more tired and you're like, "Oh my God, I should not have slept that much. Now my brain doesn't know how to stop sleeping." So that was basically what happened yesterday. So I woke up yesterday and I was like, I know it's art streaming day, and I didn't stream last week because I wasn't feeling well, but oh my God, I can't be on the internet today. Like, my brain is just not functional. So, so I took a day off and pushed my stream back until today instead. So, and I ended up, actually, since I didn't stream yesterday, I went out and had margaritas and lunch with a friend, and that was really nice. Just to be out in the world and like be doing normal human things again was super awesome. I'm gonna do the white first, actually. So I'm finishing some orders today. I don't know if you noticed, but I've got your little guys here. And then I have this little kitty that I'm doing for Anthony. So I have sewing to do as well, but I need to paint my fabric for my sewing project, so I figured I'd do painting today and then finish my sewing. But this is the coat for the Loki costume that I've been working on, which I got finished yesterday. So I just need to tack down the shoulder pads onto this, and the coat will be done. And then I have the vest, which is waiting on gold pieces to be sewn around the neck and into this little area in here. So what I'm doing for those, because the gold absolutely would not stick to my leather, I'm trying to see, I know I have a couple of pieces that I painted already just to make sure that this would work. I'm just not sure where I put them over here. Here they are. So I have this embossed felt, and what I did is painted gold onto that, and then I'm going to dry brush another like dark gold on top. So I've done this before with my robot doll. His accessories were the same gold paint on this felt, and it doesn't look super awesome on camera, but in person it comes out a really bright gold, and you get like the cool textured thing because it's embossed. So I'm doing that for all of the gold pieces, and I just need to paint a little bit more of that fabric. Um, and that order is so behind. I feel terrible about how late that one is, but that's something that you can't really do when you're not feeling well. So it just keeps getting delayed. I think they've been waiting as long as you have, Julie. Oh yeah, I'm excited about the Miley's pins too. I saw that they shipped as of I think yesterday. Oh, let me point this back down so you can see what I'm doing now that I'm not holding the coat. Um, yeah, I saw that they shipped yesterday, so I can't wait for those. Yeah. It honestly, I love working on doll stuff, and I wish that this house hunting wasn't taking so much out of me because I'd be doing a lot more just to try and get it all done before I move. But I think I'm gonna end up in a position where I'm just gonna be continuing to work as we move, and I'm gonna try to pack up as much as I can and just keep what I absolutely need to be able to work on things until the absolute last second. Right. So this kitty is yeah, because my mom works second shift, we have to do most of the house hunting either in the morning or like we stack them on her day off. So tomorrow's her day off, so we're going to be seeing at least 3 houses tomorrow. Um, so yeah, it's it's taken a lot out of me. By the time we get home sometimes like I don't want to do anything for the rest of the day. Um, but yeah, this is what I'm working on right now. It's for Anthony's order. It's strawberry shortcake's cat because he has a custom strawberry shortcake Blythe doll, and asked if I could make her cat as one of my mini blockheads. And then I have, of course, your little skeleton Peep and your zombie Peep. But yeah, I actually have our friend working my friend working as our realtor. Come on, brain. How do I English today? um, and she previously had lived in Berea, and I didn't realize that she had moved all the way out to like Avon Lake when I asked her if she wanted to be our realtor. And that's like an hour away to the east of me, since I realize you probably don't know Ohio suburbs, but yeah, I'm like the most southwest suburb of Cleveland, and she's like way up in the east side. um so yeah, she has to drive a fair distance to come and meet us every time we do these showings. So we've been trying to schedule them on my mom's day off and just stack them so that she doesn't have to make extra trips. And we've been hitting open houses We hit a couple, well, we would have hit 3 open houses on Sunday, except one of them it wasn't actually open. Like, I don't know what was up with that. We got there, the house was all locked up, no one was answering the door. There were other people waiting, so like we definitely were at the right house. They just didn't have an open house, I guess. They like changed their mind last minute and didn't put anything online because we got home after we went to a third open house after that and went home and checked, and it was still showing as an open house. So I don't know what happened with that. But our number 3 open house that day didn't work, so we ended up just doing 2 on Sunday, and neither of those houses ended up working out. The one is the one that we liked that sold, and the other one was just, it was too small. We would have had to put an addition on it, and it was already at the top of our budget, so we just kind of gave up on that one. I'm extra fidgety today, sorry. My hip is doing weird things, which I'm sure is from limping around all these houses. I have a friend who has EDS also and has been having her physical therapists reteach her how to walk. I'm like, man, I think I need to do that too because my hip is getting bad on the same side as my bad knee, just from walking funny because, when you limp, you walk at like an awkward angle and it throws everything off. And I'm worried it's going to start like messing with my ankle too, and then my whole leg's just going to be bad. See, this is why we need a ranch house. We keep looking at all these split levels that are really nice, but a couple of them we've gone into and we walk up the stairs and we're like, oh, that's rough. And then we try to go down the stairs and we just kind of look at each other and go, this house isn't going to work because neither of us is going to be able to do these stairs in 10 years. And there was one that was like that we really, really liked, but the stairs were a deal breaker. And I just looked at my mom and I was like, can we just buy the house and like make a low offer so that we can afford to put in one of those chair lifts, like the electric things? She didn't like that idea. There's so many houses in my area that I would love to buy and live in, but the stairs, man, stairs are always going to be an issue, but like one that I looked at specifically was like a 1920s styled house, and it had danger stairs. I sometimes call them suicide stairs because you have to have a death wish to want to go up and down those stairs every day. The ones where they're just like, they're really narrow and they're really steep and they're not carpeted, it's just wood. So, like, steep, narrow wood stairs, you're just asking to slip and break something. But the rest of the house is so gorgeous that it was like a whole 1920s Art Deco style. And then the outside was Tudor styling, which is my absolute favorite. And the whole house was like full of built-in shelves, which are my Achilles heel with houses. I love built-in shelves. My mom's thing is she needs a nice kitchen, and mine is if we can get a house with a nice kitchen and built-in shelves, I want the shelves. I want a house with built-in shelves. I think they're the coolest. And one of the ones we looked at on Sunday, actually, the one that was unfortunately too small, had in the den like an entire wall on 2 sides. The entire wall was built-in shelving. And we just looked at the shelves and went, our DVDs would finally have a home! Because I'm gonna have to turn you guys the camera. You see the stack of movies over there? Um, yeah, we have basically a small library in our house. We love movies. We watch lots and lots of movies. So we have racks and racks of DVDs, and then, you know, on top of that rack there's a stack, and on top of, I have a shelf that's just my movies, like, that are all like the gory horror movies and stuff that my mom wants nothing to do with, and those are in a separate room. And then on top of those I have a stack that's probably going on 2.5 feet tall at this point on top of the shelf. So anytime I see built-in shelves, I'm just like, yes, our movies. Dayton is, trying to think. I feel like Dayton is also north and east. I feel like it's pretty close to, where is Dayton? I feel like it's close to Avon, but I might be wrong about that. I think it's probably about an hour away. Yeah, I try to describe to non-Ohio people where I live in Ohio, and it's so weird because when you're in Ohio, you describe everything by like Ohio landmarks, which other Ohio people all know somehow. I don't I don't understand it, but like, it doesn't matter what part of Ohio you grew up in. If you start describing Ohio landmarks to people, like, they're gonna know. And that's how you, just a pro tip, that's how you can tell when somebody lived in Ohio for most of their life, because they will know the Ohio landmarks even if they didn't live near them. Like, the one of the more famous ones that people outside of Ohio like to reference is Grandpa's Cheese Barn, because if you're within an hour of Grandpa's Cheese Barn on any highway, there will be signs. There's signs every few minutes for Grandpa's Cheese Barn. I've never been there, but I know exactly where it is. So I try to tell people that, like, okay, Berea essentially is about 15 minutes further south than the airport from Cleveland. And that usually, for people who don't live in Cuyahoga County, which is where Cleveland is, Berea is kind of the southern end of Cuyahoga County, which is like the one of the most northeastern counties of Ohio. So I'm still like very north in Ohio, but I'm, you know, the southern tip of my county. It's kind of weird. But it's, you know, it's a really bougie suburb because it's mostly, there's like a liberal arts college in Berea, and then the only other things in Berea are retirement homes. So everybody here, pretty much, aside from like the lifelong Bereans, are elderly people or art students. So it's, you know, it's that kind of a suburb. Yeah. Yeah, Grandpa's Cheese Barn. Everybody who's ever driven through Ohio knows of Grandpa's Cheese Barn because the signs for it are literally everywhere. I want to go there sometime because I feel like it would be kind of a fun place to visit. And I think they added a candy factory recently because this past drive down to Columbus for my cousin's wedding recently, there were signs for Grandpa's Cheese Barn and, what was it called? I think it was called Sweeties. So I guess there's like a candy factory with the cheese barn. I don't know, maybe they weren't getting enough people with the cheese barn anymore. But there's that, and then there's the Hell is Real billboard, which is another famous Ohio landmark to non-Ohioans. Because they'll be driving through Ohio and they'll be like, what the hell is that? There's just giant. I think there's one going facing each direction, so no matter how you're driving through Ohio, you will see the billboards. And it's right around the same area as Grandpa's Cheese Barn is where you start seeing the Hell is Real billboards. So Ohio is a colorful state to live in. Mostly red colored, unfortunately. But yeah, it's it's interesting. We have those. There's the Mally's Chocolate Factory, which to Ohio people, I think is a pretty common landmark to be able to reference. Um, Everything in downtown, it's pretty much all the same. If you're downtown, you're downtown in Cleveland. But trying to think what the other Ohio landmarks are that other people might know of, but all I can think of is the Cheese Barn and the Hell is Real. No, yeah, I don't know who paid for the billboards. They're just there. They're just there. There's nothing else on them. There's just giant billboards that just say Hell is Real. It's a weird thing that it's just like something to cross off the bucket list if you're a road tripper, is when you go through Ohio and you see one of the Hell is Real billboards. It's our giant ball of string. I don't even know what it's really about because there's nothing else on the sign. Like, it doesn't reference any specific church or group or anything. It's just a big old billboard that says Hell is Real. And then there's usually other billboards like sprinkled around those that are also religious themed. Oh, Lindt Factory. Oh, I'm so jealous. I love Lindt chocolates. That must have been so cool. We did a perfume factory when I was on the France trip after high school graduation. But I'm not into perfume, so that was kind of meh. I mean, I realized that the area we were in southern France was like really famous for perfume, and that's probably a really cool thing to do if you're into perfume, but as somebody who's allergic to all perfume, I just, I didn't care. Oh yeah, I've seen the giant dinosaurs. Yeah, those are cool. We had something like that try to set up in Ohio recently, but it's been really hit or miss because I guess the dinosaurs are like in disrepair. So depending on when you go, if somebody has recently put them back together, they look really nice. Otherwise, it's kind of a rip-off. And they're just like hanging out in a parking lot. I think somebody was like, hey, maybe this is a good thing to do to raise a little money in the town during the pandemic, but it hasn't really gone over very well. I know they did a dinosaur thing at the zoo a few years back too, but I didn't go to that. It didn't really seem like it was geared for adults. It seemed like it was mostly just kind of like animatronics. So You know, I didn't want to pay for it. Our zoo is pretty cool, though. If you're ever in the Cleveland area, we have a pretty nice zoo. I mean, it's not. I've heard that the Columbus Zoo is like fantastic, and Cincinnati Zoo has Fiona the hippo, but the Cleveland Zoo is still cool. We have baby tigers right now. I really want to go see the baby tigers, but I don't do well in heat, so I can't really go in the summer. Unless we have, you know, one of those rare freak chilly summer days, then I can go in the summer. Black Phoenix Alchemy Lab. I think I've heard of that. I'm sure somebody's probably shared them in the goth groups on Facebook by now. I just don't pay too much attention to any like the Bath and Body groups that or Bath and Body companies that get shared in the groups. I feel like I should just to like support my fellow small businesses, but I mean it's kind of hard. Like I don't know you personally, so I don't feel invested to buy from you when I can't use your products myself. Like I have local friends that I'll buy Bath and Body stuff for other people from them. But yeah, I never buy that stuff anymore unless I've tried it or unless it's from a store that I can return it to if I have a reaction. Alright, I'm just gonna... Where's my little clippers? I want to trim some of the fuzziness around here before I go in and paint. Oh, at a table at a drag con. That's cool. A lot of people, a lot of people that I met through vending burlesque shows transitioned into vending drag shows in Cleveland in the last several years. There was a lot of drama going down in the burlesque scene here, and a lot of the vendors were like, I'm not even performing, I don't want to be in this anymore. And the drag scene was apparently much more inviting. So a bunch of them just jumped ship and started strictly vending drag shows instead. I definitely, I would have gone with them because I think that would be a really fun way to do drag shows. Because I'm not much of a performer, but you know, I feel like that would be kind of fun. A good way to network. Um, but I don't do nighttime shows anymore. As much as I'm not a morning person, I really do prefer to vend daytime shows, and then I can come home and eat dinner and relax at the end of the night. You know, I don't want to be breaking down a table and coming home and taking makeup off and trying to get myself ready to go to bed at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, like when I used to do the burlesque shows. I mean, I could do that when I was in my 20s. I don't think I could do that anymore. I'm getting old. I just want to go to bed. Yeah, I bet it would be fun. It sounds like a lot of fun. I've been starting to get into Drag Race recently. Like, I know I'm really late to the game on that one, but I just never really had time to watch that kind of thing because it is, you know, it's more visual than something like even like Great British Baking Show. Like, you can just kind of tune out most of the time you watch that, whereas something like Drag Race, where it's about the performances, you have to actually like watch the thing that you're watching. And I have such a bad habit of like putting something on in the background while I'm working and then just not looking at it for the next hour. So, with being, you know, under the weather, I guess, and just not feeling up to doing much and kind of sitting around more, I started getting into watching those. Yeah, I think I want to watch that one more than I want to watch Drag Race because it seems like Dragula is probably more my kind of thing because it's like horror themed. Yeah, my friend who's really into the drag shows told me I should watch that one, so I think I'm gonna give that one a try. I might watch that tonight because I'm gonna make myself actually take a proper break after I do my artsy things today and let my hands actually rest for a little bit. So, oh my gosh, you have friends who competed. That's so cool. Who are they? I'll keep an eye out. Oh my gosh, Julie, that's so cool. You're so much cooler than me. I never had the guts to perform. I kind of wish I would have when I was more able-bodied, but I do have a friend who, sorry, I'm just making sure that I don't make a mess on these itty-bitty little ears. I have a friend who does the, I don't want to say disabled burlesque, because I don't, it's called disabilities, like Tease, disabilities, um, and it's basically like all performers with, you know, varying degrees of handicaps, and she does entire performances in her wheelchair, and I just think that's the coolest thing ever. Like if I were gonna get into performing now, that's probably how I'd have to do it, is get a wheelchair and like incorporate that in. That's one of those things that I kick myself constantly for not trying when I had, you know, the physical ability to do so, because now I just don't. Alright, how do I want to do this guy? I think I want to do the red first. Close my white. Okay, I'm gonna keep an eye out for them. That's so cool. Okay, so does she do like Monster High themed performances, or is it just the name? Because I'm like really intrigued now. Frankie Doom. I'm gonna have to look out for her. I do love the idea of doll themed drag performances. That's really fun. My bestie is the one who has been kind of getting me into all of the drag performers. She really likes, oh, what's her name? Kimchi. She has a bunch of, she has a couple of makeup palettes that Kimchi put out. She's been getting really good at doing makeup looks. I'm kind of jealous. Meatball. Oh my god, I love that name. I had a dream last night that I had an especially derpy bulldog mix named Meatball. No, it was Mr. Meatball. Mr. Meatball. He was just the ugliest little thing. But I woke up and I was like, man, I love that dog. This dog that I never had that my brain just dreamed up. Yeah, she got really excited when she first got the kimchi palette and was trying it out. She posted it on her Instagram, and kimchi, like, I don't remember if she actually reacted or if she actually commented, but I know she got really excited. And I was excited for her cuz I've had those kind of moments, and it's really awesome to be recognized by somebody that you look up to. Like when I made my iZombie doll, my Live More iZombie doll, and I posted her when she was probably like 80% finished. And then Rose McIver, who plays Live More on iZombie, liked my picture on Instagram. That was like the coolest moment of my life as an artist, or at least as a fan artist. Trim some of this fuzziness off again. Face too before I start painting that. So I've been just kind of like binge watching Criminal Minds while I work. And as much as I love that show, like after you've watched 11 seasons in a row, it gets to a point where you're like, all right, I need something a little less gruesome. So that was kind of why I started watching Drag Race as my palate cleanser from Criminal Minds. Which, again, don't get me wrong, it's one of my favorite shows. I love it to death, but, like, I don't think I've ever sat and watched every season. Well, no, I did sit and watch every season in a row, but that was back when there were only, like, 7 seasons. So, watching 7 seasons in a row is very different from watching 11 seasons in a row. So, I needed something a little different to put on. And my sister-in-law is quietly frustrated with me because I still haven't finished watching the last season of Supernatural, but I haven't been in a good headspace to watch a season, or not a season, a series finale of a show that I basically grew up with. Like, I'm not ready for it to end, and the longer I don't watch those last episodes, the longer I can keep pretending that it's not over. Plus, from what I hear, the end caused a lot of strong feelings in a lot of people. And I'm just not ready for that. I was almost gonna start watching from the beginning again, but I'm like, she's gonna kill me if I do that. So I think I'll watch probably Dragula tonight, and then maybe force myself to watch the last season, the last half of the last season of Supernatural, maybe next week. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I didn't realize that was like a controversial thing about having drag kings. Well, I knew that there was some drama about female-born drag queens within the drag scene. But I didn't realize that it was like a thing that a lot of even like in-person performance shows don't, they just don't have drag kings. Like even if they wanted to show up, they're just not, I don't want to say not allowed, because like technically there's nobody saying you can't. It's just they're not as encouraged. I don't know, it's just always interesting to me where marginalized communities are involved, when they, like where the line is that they draw on what is and isn't allowed into their community. And I say that as someone who fully identifies as queer because I don't feel like any other label really fits what I feel for other human beings. I think queer fits because I am kind of queer. I'm a weirdo. But when I first started identifying as queer, I had elder gays telling me that like that's not accepted language and you haven't really been around so you don't know, but like we don't use that word. And like, okay, I get that there are definitely generations that don't identify as queer because like that word was never a positive thing in their lifetime, but like that's the only word that feels right to me and I'm not going to let somebody tell me I can't use it. Like I'll be sensitive to what you went through. I get that that's not a happy word for you, but it's the only word that feels right for me. So please feel free to give me another one if you don't like the word queer. Give me another definition that I can identify with that actually fits me. Just don't tell me I can't be part of your community because the straights don't want me either. Yeah, I honestly would like to see more performances from drag kings as well as drag queens. I get that a lot of the theatricality is in, the outfits and the looks for the queens, and maybe that doesn't always translate when you're doing, a male persona, but I think there's still ways to make it really, really entertaining. And that's what it really is about, is just letting your freak flag fly in all its glory. At least in my mind, anyway. Alright, I gotta have this guy right here because I get the spacing wrong on these eyes sometimes. Oh, I love Black Mirror. Yeah, if you can figure out what it's called, let me know, because I'd watch another show that's like that. Did you watch Love, Death and Robots? I really liked that one. That was a lot of fun. The episodes in the first season, yeah, I think there's only 2 seasons now. Yeah, the first season was kind of hit or miss, but the newest season, whatever it was, I think it was 2, was pretty good. I don't think there were really any episodes that I didn't like. Like there were definitely some that I wasn't like super psyched on by the time they were over, but there weren't any that I actively disliked this time. The first episode of the second season especially was just hilarious to me because it was about a robot vacuum that goes rogue. And I just got a robot vacuum um like last year. It's on Netflix. Okay, on Amazon. I'll definitely check that one out. All right. Oops. Now I just gotta wait for this little guy to dry so I can put some ribs in there. And I think I need brown for the kitty. Yeah, it's got a little heart nose. Although I don't know if brown is gonna show up on this pink. It's not the exact right color, but can I... Camera doesn't want to pick up my phone. Yeah. Oh, there, now you can kind of see the color from that angle. Yeah, so it's not exactly the right color, but it's as close as I could get. I'm gonna try brown. Alright. So it's almost like a teddy bear mouth. Actually, I think this should be a little darker. I don't have a star stick with me, do I? Nope. What do I have that I can stir with? Use some tweezers. I should have just gotten up and grabbed a stir stick. Whatever, it's working. Improvise. Alright, a little heart nose. Oh no, it's not. It's not centered. Oh no. That's okay. I think the whole little snout actually isn't centered, so I'm gonna recenter the snout after I do the nose. And maybe it is. Maybe I can fix it. Here we go. Yeah, okay. That's centered now. I think. I hope. I think I need my thinner brush to do the little mouth lines. I don't know if I'm getting this right or not. I hope. Yeah, it looks fine. It's just hard to translate a character with a very round head sometimes into my little square-headed blockheads. I need to bring this down just a little bit. Alright, I think that's pretty good. Do little eyes. A little bit of a mistake there. The one benefit to painting on really fuzzy felt, though, just snip away the fluff. And round it again. There. Oops. There we go. See, all fixed. It's one of the few benefits to painting on fuzzy felt. Most of the time, it's a pain to work with, but when you do have those mistakes, you just snip off the fuzz, and it's like it never happened. Oh my god, I have like a wildlife party going on in my backyard right now. We put a bird feeder in the backyard, and some of the sparrows, when they eat, like, they're real messy. They'll just take the bird seed and, like, throw it over to get to the pieces they want. So all the squirrels in the neighborhood have figured out to just congregate underneath the bird feeder. So every so often you'll look out and there'll be like 3 or 4 squirrels, the 2 chipmunks that already lived in our yard, and I see 1, 2, 3 birds, and there's a baby bunny back there sometimes too. It's really funny. My favorite pair of birds we have so far is a mom and baby blackbird. And I swear to God, the baby is like almost as big as mom. Like it should be able to get its own food, but it will just follow the mama bird around and scream until mom gives it birdseed. Like mom has to pick the food off of the ground and put it in baby's mouth. Like this bird is big enough that it comes and it flies. It flies in. Like you're big enough. Why are you not getting your own food? But it just reminds me of my niece lately has been doing this thing where she wants to be fed. So when they were visiting, the one day at dinner, she just kept saying, "Mom, I want to eat now. Mom, I want to eat now." She's 3, so she's just in her little toddler speak. "Mom, I want to eat now." And she's like, "I'm not feeding you. Feed yourself." "No. Mom, I want to eat now." Like she was expecting her mom to like pick the food up and hand it to her. And every time I see this gigantic baby bird following mom around screaming, all I hear is her little toddler voice going, "Mom, I want to eat now." It's so funny. It makes me feel like a Disney princess when I'm like sitting here sewing or doing like arts and craftsy things, and there's just all these like small animals congregating around me. Oh, I missed that last message. Comedy drag sounds like fun. I definitely love the idea of a cockroach performing to creep. That's perfect. Oh, I love it. I think if I ever performed that, that's probably the kind of thing that I would do. Would be comedy things like that. Oh, baby must have heard me talking shit because baby's on my patio right now. Hi, baby bird. That's what I feel like. I feel like if I went out there and like held out my finger, like the little birdie would just come and sit on my finger. Oh my god, my backyard is just filling with animals. What is going on? It just rained a little bit too, so there's probably like worms in the ground, so the birds are coming in for the seed and then they're like, "Oh, hey, there's also worms here." Like my backyard is just covered in birds right now. The only downside is, there's been a few extra thunks into the back patio door now that there's extra birds back there. Like, we always would have the occasional bird just, like, dive bombing in our yard for no apparent reason. But it's been a little more frequent with the bird feeder back there. Alright. I gotta mix the paint for my felt. That's one thing that I think I'd probably miss the most if we move out of this area, is because we're right by the Metro Parks. The Metro Parks is like 2 blocks behind me, and we get a lot of wildlife because of that. I don't know how much wildlife we'll have in a new area. I just wish we could find a house in our neighborhood and not have to move. Alright, I gotta get a stir stick because I'm not doing the tweezers again. I have to show you because you're another doll person and I know you'll understand. I told myself I wasn't going to buy any more dolls until we moved. And then I saw this doll on eBay and I had to have her. She is so cute. She has like purple and green hair. And then she has like this spacey makeup. Oh my gosh, she's so cute. I have to change her pull strings though because she has these, it's like fishing line, and it doesn't actually work to change all of her eyes, so she has those ones. And I'm really afraid to like really yank on it because it's plastic and I don't want to like stretch it out. And then there's the blue sky ones. Yeah! That was... I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh! I have to have that doll! So, I put a bid on her and nobody else bid on her, so I got her. And I figure, since I broke my rule and bought a doll when I wasn't going to, I'm at least gonna compromise and I'm not gonna let myself, like, dress her up and enjoy her, yet. I'm going to... I have her sitting on the shelf over there, so I have to look at her every day. And she's my motivation to get this whole room, like, packed up to move. So, when I get the room packed up, then I can enjoy her. But she's just so cute. And, I mean, even, like, the little outfit is cute that she came in. So, I'm not gonna dress her up and play with her until I get the room packed up, but... At least she looks nice while she waits. And she came with a stand, which is always a bonus because I hate buying doll stands. And then they also, the person also sent me a bunny. Oh my gosh. I opened it and I was like, "Ah, bunny." That's like the perfect little bonus thing to send because I'm a bunny person. So I just have her like sitting back there teasing me now until I get this room packed up and basically ready to just go onto a truck and move. I was going to make it, I was going to make my little rule that I had to pack my bedroom up, but the reason I never show my bedroom in my streams is because it's an absolute disaster. I can't really clean in there during the day because my rabbit's in there sleeping. My real bunny. So it's just kind of been getting progressively worse for the last couple of years. Between that and like the mobility loss, I haven't taken care of my room. So I'm not looking forward to trying to pack that up. Like I need to downsize. I need to get rid of a lot of stuff, and I kind of I have like borderline hoarding tendencies. Like I'm not a full-blown hoarder by any means, but I definitely have some hoarder tendencies where I have trouble throwing things away, getting rid of anything that has like even the tiniest bit of sentimental value. So I have a lot of stuff. Like I am willing to admit that I have too much stuff for one person. Like I really should probably get rid of most of my childhood stuffed animals. And they take up honestly like an entire shelf in my closet, and I have a wall-to-wall closet, so it's bad. Yes, yeah, part of the draw is definitely more room for doll stuff. Um, I am very much looking forward to that. I'm hoping that one of these houses that we look at tomorrow will be big enough that I can have, if not a whole room, at least an area of a room that will be all of mine to do what I want with, and I would put up doll shelves. I want to have all of my dolls in wherever my crafting area is in the new house. They're my little muses, and I like to have them with me. I hope your house hunt goes better than mine. I think it probably will, though. Because small one-story houses are much easier to find than 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, one-story houses. Oh my gosh, that's part of why I can't get rid of them is because I lost several of my most beloved childhood toys, and I don't know what happened to them. Just I somewhere in one of my many moves after high school, I think they got packed into the wrong place, and I'm assuming they probably got accidentally donated because they were not where they should have been in order to be saved. And I think I'm just worried that if I get rid of anything that I'm going to regret it, because I definitely regret not being more careful about where I packed my childhood dolls. Ratty the raccoon would be a good name. I had a family of 5 raccoons living under my shed last year. There was a mom and a dad and 3 little babies that grew up until they were no longer little. And they were all under the shed. And every single day at sunset, they would come out and parade along my back fence and go underneath the back fence. And then they go in a straight line down my driveway and into the sewer every single night. And one of them has apparently returned this year. But we're not going to tell anybody about that. Because we want to sell this house. We'll just keep the raccoon under the shed as our little secret. So I don't know if how well this is gonna show up on camera, how metallic this paint really is, but this is such a cool effect on this felt. I almost just want to paint the whole felt sheet because I don't know that I would use it in this tan color, but with the gold paint on it, it really is cool. You know, nobody in my family had a Blythe for sure, but we do have some vintage toys that we managed to hold on to. I have my mom's old Fisher Price Little People dollhouse. And it's not in the best shape because, you know, she and her cousins played with it when they were little. My brothers, myself, and my cousins played with it when we were little. I mean, we haven't really... we've been too worried to let the littles play with it of this generation because they're all very rough on their toys. The way that we were not growing up, so I don't know if it's going to survive if we let them play with it at their current ages. We may wait. But, you know, by then, who knows if they'll want to play with a Little People dollhouse. But I found recently the school bus, the Little People school bus from that same era. So I found that at the thrift store a couple of years back and brought that home. So they have that to play with now, and that came with a bunch of people in it. So finally there's people in the house because we had the furniture for the house, but we didn't have any little people to play in the Little People dollhouse. So there's now people and furniture and a school bus. And my mom was telling me she had, growing up, the not the Little People school bus, but a Weebles school bus. So I've had my eye out for a Weebles school bus on eBay. And then I still have, and I'm glad this one didn't get accidentally donated with the rest. She had given me when I was maybe 5 or 6 years old, maybe even younger than that. But she gave me like the only doll that she had held onto from her childhood because she was not a big doll person, and I have that doll. So unfortunately, she has eye mold that I have not been able to get rid of, and I think I'm going to have to pop her eyes out. But it costs so much to... She's a Vogue Littlest Angel doll from the 70s. And unfortunately, to buy new eyes for these dolls costs as much as buying a brand new doll. So I don't know if I'm going to restore her or maybe turn her into a horror doll. I don't think my mom would care either way. Yeah, I have no idea how Weebles is spelled. I'd have to go and look back at my eBay search. I just know that I know the commercials because I looked them up when she was first talking about them when I was a teenager. And I was like, oh, interesting. Because they remade Weebles when I was a kid, and they don't look anything like the originals. Like, the original Weebles were kind of egg-shaped, and the ones that they had when I was a kid were shaped more like the Little People, just kind of more round, and they had a round bottom on them. But they weren't a big hit with 90s kids. So the new generation of Weebles did not last very long. We had our own fad toys that everybody from my generation remembers. One of my favorites were called Sky Dancers. And they were the fairies, and they came on like these fancy stands. The stands would all be themed to whatever kind of fairy it was. So if it was like a flower fairy, the stand would be, a bunch of flowers. Or if there was one that was a dolphin, the stand was a dolphin, and it was like an ocean fairy. And I think it had like a thing that you would pull on the stand. I can't remember if it was a button you would push or something you would pull, but it would basically like spin the fairy really fast, and the wings would come out and the fairy would like fly, it would just kind of like hover up in the air. And if you pulled it real fast, if you pulled it fast while the fairy was facing straight ahead instead of up and down, you could launch them. Yes! Oh my god, okay, so you know what the Sky Dancers are. Yeah, so, me, my brothers, and I, we ended up getting a Sky Dancer ban in my household, because I had a whole bunch of Sky Dancers. I think I must have gotten them all at once, because I feel like these things were confiscated more frequently than I actually had them in my possession. Because one of the other things, I don't know if there's any viral videos of it, but any 90s kid can tell you that if you had Sky Dancers and you had brothers, those Sky Dancers were getting launched into your face. Like, it's just inevitable. It was gonna happen. So, yeah, that happened frequently in my family, and the Sky Dancers were often confiscated. And then they'd be given back, and, with the understanding that these are not for launching in your siblings' faces. And that would last maybe a week, and they would get launched into somebody's face, and they'd get reconfiscated. So I loved my Sky Dancers, but I did not have them in my possession very often. And then another thing, I was just really big into fairies when I was a kid. Like, I had all kinds of different fairy toys, and the other one that was really popular that I had a whole bunch of, were called Fairywinkles. And I think Fairywinkles were around for a while before I got into them. I want to say the Fairywinkles started in like mid-80s, and I was born in 91, so by the time I got into them, they'd been around for a few years already. But Fairywinkles were little, like, Polly Pocket size fairies, and they would come in, you'd get like several of them in the pack, and they would come with like a little themed play set. And they're just the cutest little things. Like, I looked them up on eBay again because my mom was digitizing um all of our old home videos. And of course, there was the third and fourth birthday parties where every other present was fairy winkles. And I love it because watching those back now as an adult, 3-year-old me is just like, yes, fairy winkles, this is the greatest birthday ever. And all the adults in the room are just like, oh, more fairy winkles, yay. But yeah, that was my big thing as a kid, was fairies. So I had all kinds of fairy toys. Um, I need to make sure that I have enough of these that I don't need to paint more because I'm out of paint. Oopsies. Alright, so I need to do a couple of these little gauntlets. Alright, so there's enough for 2 of those. And then I just needed to do this little section here. Okay, so I've got enough. I ran out of gold paint, so I need to be done. Look at this cool little basket. I got this at Goodwill yesterday, and it's the perfect size to hold all of my doll patterns that I am working on. Not that I should have this many patterns going at once, but it holds every pattern for every currently open project all at the same time. I had a lot of Barbies too, but I was more into the kid Barbies than the big Barbies. I had a million little Kelly dolls. The Kelly ones, and was it, I think Stacy was the slightly older sister in between Skipper and Kelly. Yeah, I had several Stacys and a whole mess of Kellys. Like, I was never into baby dolls, but I really liked the size of the Kelly dolls, just the small little itty bitty accessories and things, which of course drove my mom nuts because those little accessories inevitably with, small children end up all over your house. But I absolutely loved the teeny tiny things. I've always been into miniatures. Like, that's something I've noticed more the older I get, is that my love of miniature things has kind of permeated every single hobby that I've ever had. But yeah, I always loved the mini dolls. I had a bunch of Polly Pockets, I had the Kellys, I had the Fairy Winkles. I loved the tiny things. And unfortunately, because they were tiny, none of those stuck around, so I don't have any of those anymore. And my childhood Barbies were all in the same either box or bag or however I had stored them with my other childhood dolls. So unfortunately, all my childhood Barbies are also gone. But what drove my mom crazy with my Barbies too was when I got a little bit older, I think when I was probably like 10 or 11, one of my grandmas gave me a gigantic like underbed storage tote that she had just filled with all kinds of random arts and craft supplies, and one of the things in there was jewelry wire. And me being the little baby bat, itty bitty goth that I was at 10, 11 years old, took all of my Barbies and I took that jewelry wire and I shoved little rings of jewelry wire into their noses and their ears. And all of my Barbies were pierced and I drew tattoos on them. And I used Sharpies to dye their hair. So I'm so depressed that those are gone because I was so proud of my little collection of goth Barbies as a 12-year-old. Oh, and I think one of my brothers had the Creepy Crawly Bug Maker because I remember playing with those things too. I had one that was just like the Bug Maker, But it was you could make little rubber dolls, and it came with wire armatures you could put into them, and they were kind of like the Flatsy dolls of, I think those were in the 70s, the Flatsy dolls, Flatsy Patsy. And it was basically those, like they'd be one dimensional. They had like a face on the one side, but the back was just, open because it was like the bug maker. And you could make like clothes and stuff for them, and that was the coolest thing ever. I had several of those that I really loved, but being that they were that weird moldable rubber, they kind of disintegrated. So those are also something that I don't have anymore, because even though I held on to them, they did not hold up. Yeah, I was probably 10 or 11 when I started modifying my Barbies. I think that was actually a big part of the reason why my mom didn't want me to get American Girl type dolls, because they're expensive, and she knew that I was gonna like dye their hair and give them tattoos and piercings and stuff. Which, joke's on her, because I make money doing that now. But that was kind of how I really got my early start doing doll modifications. Years and years before custom dolls were really a thing, I was tattooing and piercing my Barbies with jewelry wire and pliers that I stole from the garage. I used to make all kinds of things for my Barbies, mostly for my Kellys, because again, I really liked the tiny dolls. I wasn't super into the Barbie sized dolls. So I would make them like little books, and I just mostly out of like whatever I could make out of cardboard and construction paper and printer paper. And I just made all kinds of stuff for them. Alright. Oh, my table is more of a mess than usual right now. I don't really have anywhere to put things to dry. I have this area right in front of me, and that's it. Everything else is covered in stuff, because I have like 14 projects going right now. I say that like I don't always have 14 projects going, but I have more big projects going than I usually do. Get this gold paint off before it dries, because I don't know how easily metallic paint will clean off if it dries. Oh, I kind of finished my shelf too. Um, the Blythe shelf. So I'm gonna try not to make you seasick here, but yeah, I distressed the edges of the paper and got everything in here. And I think I want to paint like a design on this little shelf bit here, just because it feels kind of plain to just leave it like that. So I think I'm gonna paint just something really simple like skulls and some scroll work or something in like a dark gray, so it'll kind of pull that damask kind of style from the back into the front. Or I don't know, I might even try and cut some paper on it. I just feel like it looks a little plain. So, but the rest of it, I'm really happy with how it came out. So, yeah. I actually forgot to paint this little bit in here, this little strip. I was looking at it, I was like, oh, I'm all done. And then I saw that and I was like, oh crap, I'm not done. So now it's finally finished. It's finished for now. I'm not going to paint anything on it for a little bit. Just because I have other painting projects that I want to get done first. So I'm going to throw clear varnish on it to seal it up. And leave that as it is. And I have a whole bunch of doll faces. I decided I'm going to try carving them on my stream, just because I think that would be kind of fun. So this one's going to be my friend Bo doll. So I have my lines marked on because I didn't do that in the past. And I saw somebody in the customizing group mention that they found that really helpful to have the lines on there to keep everything centered. So that one, and then I'm going to do, this one's going to be my Lenore. So I'm going to make the nose into, like, carve out this area behind the nose to make it like the little button nose that she has, and then completely flatten the bottom lip to do that kind of quirky little cartoon mouth that she has. And then, you know, extend the smile out for her. This is the one I'm going to do for my friend, which is pretty simple carving, just kind of enhance the nose and then carve out the top lip a little bit. And then I'm going to try and do an open mouth design, which I've never done before, so I'm a little nervous, but I may do that part off camera because I think I'm going to have to use a Dremel just to at least get in there, and I don't want to use the Dremel on camera because it's noisy. And then my alien, I'm just totally doing a completely open mouth on the alien because it's an icy doll, and trying to carve these mouths is not fun. They're very thin, so I'm just going to open it up completely and throw some teeth in there instead. So, and I think I'm mostly going to leave the nose alone. I'm going to turn it upwards a little bit. So, like, I have shaded to sand upwards. So, I'm gonna try these on camera, I think. But again, with the open mouth, I'm gonna Dremel that. So I'm gonna do that off camera before I start. And I might do that for my next art stream. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna feel up to it because this is a lot of hand heavy work goes into carving, and I'm not planning on doing all of them all at once. I'm just gonna do maybe 2 at a time. So I'll probably do the alien girl first and the one for my friend because I want to get her doll as quickly as possible. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm probably do that next week. We'll see. If not, I'm sure I'll have something else that I can do next week. I can always do reviewing viral art hacks that I was planning on doing last week and didn't feel up to doing. But I got new carving tools and I'm just kind of eager to try them out. Because I think these are gonna help a lot. I got these carving tools with like the really big chunky ergonomic handles, and I think that's gonna make a big difference. Because before I got these, I just had the really standard, like really basic, just wooden carving knives, which are fine. They worked, you know, I've used them on the couple of dolls I've done so far and they worked okay. It's just that the handles cause a lot of hand fatigue, and I don't know where the little protector bit went for this one. But it's like my fancy bag. It's lined in canvas so that I can put these in a drawer and not stab myself when I go to take them out. It's got all my carving tools in there with all my sharp little knives and things. So yeah, I got this fancy little set on Amazon. It was one of their random flash deals, and it was one of those things that like it pops up and you were like, oh, I never knew I needed that until you showed it to me, but now that I know it exists, I want it. And it was only, I think it was like $13 or $14, so I figured it was worth the investment to at least try. And this actually has already come in handy. This curved blade I used to do the neck modifications that Casey did a video on recently, for the jointed bodies, where you just kind of carve like a little bit out so the head can wobble a bit more. And it's a lot easier to do with a curved knife. Yeah, I like my curved knife. So yeah, this was a good little suggestion from Amazon that I'm really looking forward to using the actual carving tools. And then it comes with all these different like carving heads. So I really want to try them. I've never had fancy carving tools. And it's got like a curved one that might be kind of good for carving out like the philtrum. So you just hold on. I say you just as I forget how they go in. I think you just twist them. But oh, you just pull them. So yeah, I kind of want to try these out. I feel like this is going to be really helpful. And it's a magnetic case, so they don't fall. There's little magnets in here. This is just the coolest thing. Like, I got so excited when I saw this. I was like, I had no idea I needed something like this, but oh my gosh, it's so cool. And then even like the extra X-Acto blades are on a magnet. So it's super handy. I got a magnetic screwdriver too for taking the heads apart. Oh my gosh, that's been a lifesaver, because I don't know how other Blythe people take the heads apart and don't lose screws constantly. I don't know if it's just a me problem, but like when I try to take the screws out, I, I feel like I have to go chasing at least one screw every single time I take a head apart. And it's to the point where like I've had dolls piling up that I want to work on. That's why I have a stack over here that I want to work on, but like I just don't want to go chasing screws all around my house. So I got a magnetic screwdriver for like $7, and when you pull the screws out, they stick onto the top of the screwdriver. And I'm like, it's so stupid, but it's like the most genius thing ever. And I took all of the heads apart because I was so excited to try it out. I just was getting so excited that I wasn't losing my screws everywhere. So I feel like I'm finally hitting that like adulthood milestone where you start getting really excited about stupid things. Like, I get excited every time we go into one of these houses and, like, I open a kitchen cabinet and there's one of those, like, Lazy Susan spinny things in the corner cabinet. Because, like, we don't have, like, a corner cabinet in this house, but we definitely have cabinets where it would be really convenient to have that, and we don't. So it's just, like, a cool thing. Oh my gosh, and the one house we looked at, it had cat doors. I've never seen cat doors like cut into the bedrooms before, but it's like just a little cutout on the bottom of the door, and I looked at it and I went, "Oh my gosh, bunny doors!" So yeah, house hunting is like finally making me feel like a proper adult because I'm getting excited about like grown up things. Um, it does have benefits, you know, it's not just stressful. Like it is kind of fun. I do like seeing the houses. I wish I could see them with less pressure to have to find one to buy. That's the only downside. Um but yeah, it's getting kind of late. I gotta feed my bunny. My music stopped again, so I'm assuming that's probably a good cue to call it a day, give my hands a break. So I did get some stuff finished. So I just gotta wait for these to dry now, and then I'll be able to finally get your order shipped to you. Finally, I feel really bad that it's taken this long. But and then I got the little strawberry shortcake cat for Anthony. I have to get the rest of my pieces for the Loki costume. Now that I have the gold, as soon as that paint dries, I can start stitching the gold pieces on and get the last pieces put together. Um, yeah, and then I've just got a couple of dresses left for Anthony's order. So I'm finally catching up. Finally. I feel like I definitely took on too many orders and I won't be doing that again. I'm going to be better about pacing myself. Because I got really overwhelmed and that also made it kind of hard to work on stuff. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day. While watching the hungry birds swarming outside and realizing my rabbit's probably starving too. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have some dinner, feed my bunny. Um, I am expecting to do my game stream either tomorrow or if I'm too tired after looking at a bunch of houses, I'm gonna do it Friday instead. Um, so I'm gonna have to play that by ear because we're looking at three tomorrow. We haven't done three in one day yet, so I don't know. I don't know how that's gonna have me feeling by the time we get home. And we might even do. We actually have a fourth one that we're trying to squeeze in, so I don't know. I might be too tired to even do like a video game stream. So yeah, I might do that Friday instead. But yeah, that'll be 9 o'clock ish, same time as usual. Probably gonna finish Bioshock. I think I'm at the end, kind of getting towards the end game at this point, and I'm kind of disappointed because I didn't get the bees, and I think now that like I'm towards the end of the game and I haven't gotten the bees, I'm wondering if maybe the bees don't come in until the second Bioshock game, and I had it mixed up. And that makes me a little disappointed because I was really excited about getting the bees. But anyway, I guess I'll probably find out in the next one because I think there's only 1 or 2 hours left of the game, so I'll probably just finish the game on the next stream. Um, yeah, so after that, I have Layers of Fear lined up to do as my game stream. That one's really cool. It's about an artist having sort of a psychotic break, which I guess probably doesn't sound all that intriguing, but it's like a lot of like Renaissance style art imagery in the game, which is something that I really enjoy. So it's also in a really old house, which, you know, looking at all these modern one-story houses, playing a game set in an old house, I think will be fun. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna do that, and then that's kind of a shorter game, I think, if I remember correctly. So that'll probably take maybe a month of weekly streams to get through. Um, I've been stocking up on indie horror games as they go on sale so that I'll have plenty lined up. When I finish that one, I'm going to put up a poll about, you know, the games, the different options for games because I bought several and I'm really excited to play all of them, so I'm just going to kind of let people choose. But I bought Limbo. I might do Franbo on stream, even though I just replayed through it for like the fifth time. I love that game so much. Like, I would totally be willing to do it again on stream. Um, Trying to think what else I just bought. I don't remember what else I bought. I don't know. I bought several because they were on sale, really cheap. So I have games to go through. Um, I had a bunch of art stuff on my calendar, and I just haven't been feeling up to doing most of it, so I may completely toss out my calendar and just kind of do art streams week by week and see what I feel like doing. Just because I'm expecting to be moving soon. Um, I'm going to be putting most of my stuff away. I'll probably do more needle felting because that all of my needle felting supplies I can fit in one shoebox size plastic tub. So even if I have to pack up everything, like I can do needle felting projects and that'll give me stuff to do without having to have access to my entire room. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling. Thanks for watching. I will see you either Thursday or Friday, I guess, hopefully. Um, Bye guys, take care of yourselves.